Hello and welcome to the Sewing Studio. Today I'm going to show you how to make the block in this quilt behind me, and this quilt has been made using Makower's Bluebird fabric range, and the quilt is made using a pattern which is on Makower's website. It's a free download. It's entitled Indigo Quilt, and I've just used that pattern. Even though I've not used that fabric, I've used that pattern to create this quilt. So I'm just going to show you how we do that. So for each block you need a 9 inches by 5.5 inches, you need a 3-inch square, and you also need a 3-inch by 5.5 inches, and they are sashed using a dark fabric, and the dark fabric is 1.5 inches. Now I'm going to put this together to make one of the blocks. And if you look on the pattern, there are some blocks that could just be a 9-inch square if you wanted some plain ones in there, which I'll show you when we come over to the quilt in a moment. But first of all, I'm going to show you how to put this together. So we're going to go over to the sewing machine. Where's the little doings? As on. Didn't expect it to get hot that quick. So we take our 1.5 inch by 3 inch piece of sashing, and we're going to sew that together using a 1/4 inch seam, right sides together. And we're going to press this towards the dark side of the fabric. I'm just using this little iron because this saves me hopping up and down to the big iron. And then we're going to sew our 3 by 5.5 inches. And again, we need to press that to the dark side of the fabric so that it looks like that. And then we're going to take our other piece of sashing, which measures 1.5 inches, and we are going to join that. It doesn't matter which side, because then we're going to join our big piece to that. I'm going to press that again to the dark side. And then we take our big piece of fabric and we're going to join that onto there. And you'll see how that makes up the block. I'm now going to go over to the big iron and give it a really good press and show you how the blocks go together. So I'm now just going to give this a good press with the big iron. And again, I'm pressing into the dark side of where the sashing is. And then the next thing you would do is you would take your other piece of sashing and you would join that to the side of your block. But before you do that, you need to think about how you're going to lay your blocks out. The pattern gives you an idea, but you don't have to follow that exactly. You can lay them out however you want, so you can be quite random. So for example, I'd probably lay that one with the big piece going upwards, and then I'd perhaps lay this one with the bigger piece going to the side, then this one with the bigger piece going towards the bottom, and so on. So I'm just laying them out. Once I've got them how I want them and they're in a pleasing look to the eye, I would then join my sash in to each one going across like this. So for example, if we had that there, I probably would then go with the bigger piece going the opposite way. So I'd join it like that. And then I'd do something different with the next row. So once I've got all that joined as a row, then I would have another piece of 1.5 inch dark blue sash in and put that at the bottom of the row before I joined the next piece onto it. So we're now going to go over to the quilt and we're just going to have a look at how we've put those together. So you can see how we've put the blocks together, and you may remember earlier I said to you about some of these plain squares. So you can have as many of these as you want and they can be as random as you want. So rather than making up your 3 pieces to form the block, you can just have the fabric. So if it's your favourite fabric, so for example, I really like some of these that look a bit like paper pieced shapes. You could put more of those in. So we've sashed between each block and then we've sashed between each row, and that is 1.5 inches. And we then put a 3-inch border on all the way round. So this quilt measures 60 inches square. I've only made the top this time. I haven't made it into a quilt, but probably thinking about how I'm going to quilt it, I probably will hand quilt this one, only because there's so much going on here that I don't want to detract from that by machine quilting. So this is a nice easy block to do, and because the pieces are so big, it goes together really quickly. So as always, have fun, and I look forward to seeing you next time here in the sewing studio.